We're doing, everybody. So, I obviously had an opportunity to get through the tape and evaluate the game, evaluate it with the players. There were obviously a lot of things that we need to fix. There were some really good things. There were some things to build on offense, some explosive plays, some schemes that we got a chance to run in game. I thought that was good. I thought on defense at times we played really well. Just, the big plays really plagued us, obviously, and some things that we have to fix, including some tackling. We'll work hard on that this week. And from a special team standpoint, it was a little hot and cold. We did a great job in kick return. We did a great job in punt. We blocked the field goal and an extra point. But obviously we gave up a kick return for a touchdown. We had an opportunity to tackle them on the 6-yard line, and instead it ended up a 101-yard return. So we have to get a lot better in all three phases. But I think that the kids are pretty optimistic, and look forward to having the opportunity to get back to work tomorrow.
I guess it's been a lot of fans have asked. You mentioned it. Any update with Raheem and what his situation is? You said you might address it after the game.
Yeah, we'll have it all resolved by the time we hit the field tomorrow. Once it is resolved, I'll be glad to discuss it. I just, still kind of working through all the information and things like that. And obviously, the most important thing for me is doing what's best for the team and what's best for the 100+ guys that we have out there every day.
Too. I mean, going forward, is he still emergency or?
Yeah, as of right now, yes.
And Mcclain Carter, any updates on him?
I don't anticipate Mcclain playing again.
Okay.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, he probably will not play again this year.
Just with Art, I mean, at some point, do you need some sort of clarity just so it's not hanging over,
Yeah, and we'll obviously discuss all those things. I mean, Art is practicing; he's working through the game plan and all those things, and I guess it's a brave new world. Those are both situations that I did not ever anticipate ever coming across in my life in football. So I will, we'll do our best to handle it the right way of what's best for the players, but also what's best for the team, because that is the priority.
And you don't anticipate any other players making that decision or, going forward?
I do not. There aren't that many guys left that are either haven't already redshirted or didn't plan to redshirt already. So, it's really not a large pool. We have a couple guys that were sophomores and juniors that already had planned to redshirt, and we're kind of staying on that plan, and we'll use their 4 games, over the course of time, and then, if their role changes, those guys are all willing to play. Like if they get into the too deep, then, they're all willing to play as well. So.
Made a lot to do with Rutgers being on his 10th offensive coordinator in 10 years, and players who I've talked to in the past have talked about the different terminology, the different play, and saying that's a big reason why the offense has struggled over the last couple of years. You're trying to do it on the fly. How difficult is it to do one, and do you have to be sensitive to the fact that there have been a lot of different changes with the offense and kind of have to slow roll it a little bit?
Yeah, very, very much so. I think that if you go through the tape, from my perspective, we left a lot of plays out there just because we probably aren't really ready to execute all the things at the level that you would hope. But we're just going to create some consistency to keep it that way. We have used everything has stayed in the same terminology, and I think that is helpful. I've always been big on concept-based teaching, so we're using a lot of similar terminology with some slight tags that allow them to use the same teaching that we've used going back from the spring and in some ways for the last 2 years.
Coach, I just want to clarify about Mcclain. So when you say he's not expected to play again this year, is that medically? Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that effectively he's done? That's it? Does he have a chance to come back? He can't come back like another year, right?
I don't believe he has another year to play.
Okay, so he's effectively done.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, on Penniston, any update on him?
He's actually right now exploring surgery possibilities, so unlikely that he'll play. Now, he theoretically possibly could have a 6th year, depending upon how his, he could apply for it anyway.
And obviously, Johnny runs a lot. He's a pretty rugged runner. I think he cut his hand the other day. Have you guys thought about, obviously Cole lost a game for one play. Have you thought about Alberici potentially going forward in those situations, if it's just a snap or?
Yeah, that could be a possibility as well. And we will probably create some wildcat stuff too, just if we, get in a situation where, you don't want to burn a play, but at the same time Isaiah was a high school quarterback, he's a pretty talented runner, so.
With Cole, he had said during during preseason that he'd be ready for anything, but obviously the plan going in was to not have him play and hopefully redshirt.
Right.
Does his demeanor change now that he's really kind of one snap away from being the guy?
Yeah, I think he does. I think that his sense of urgency to learn it all and grasp it all definitely increases, and his reps in practice will definitely change. And, I think it's a great opportunity for him to learn and develop, because he's getting, he'll go from getting strictly scout team reps right now to pretty much getting, some real reps in practice. And, I think it will accelerate his development, hopefully.
I guess, what have you seen on film from Indiana? It seems like they're kind of a middle of the pack defense. And do you think that maybe helps you guys how big of a, jump do you think you can make from this past week to a full week?
Well, I honestly think they're a pretty good football team, and we have not exactly, we're not exactly like we've been flying up and down the field. So, but I do think that, just being in the second week of, similar schemes, just basically kind of finding different ways to do the same things and get our guys some repetitive teaching, I think that will help us a lot. I've always thought that, the biggest jump as a football team is usually from that first to second week, just because of adjusting to the speed of the game. So in some of the things that we did that were new, those things hopefully we'll be much better at this week.
A little big picture regarding you. When going from high school to college, a lot of people made a big deal about that, and I know you're two years removed from high school. But did you study guys like Gus Malzahn, maybe Chad Morris, even Kevin Sumlin, guys who made that leap from high school to college? One, and do you, considering you were at a high school program that basically, as Pat Hobbs said, it was like a AAA basically. Do you think it's as big of a transition as other people make it out to be?
When I say football is football, I think people are like, oh, yeah, okay. But one, when you coach at the schools that I coached at, your access to college programs is probably way greater than any college coach has, because, you have good players and, they want to grant you access. So, the opportunity to learn and study football is really, tremendous if you're coaching a really good high school football program. One of the other things is I have legitimately called 200 games in my career. Most guys that step in the first time they're a coordinator, they've never called a play before in their life. They've never stood up here and, talked in front of a camera. My team's played on national television. We dealt with, a huge media, every week. So those types of things, to me, have not been overwhelming. Trying to get our team to be good enough to win a football game on Saturday, that's a big task, and I think we have a ways to go, but I think our kids are pretty bought into it. So as far as like the workload and the volume, the things that are probably the hardest are trying to translate the way I see it into the language that we're currently using. I think, on game day, when you want to have the play called, in 5 seconds, we're not really built that way right now. So that was probably the toughest thing for me on Saturday, was to go to a call sheet and, go down and get something called to a wristband that now they have to relate that way rather than get on the ball and play. I'd called it a certain way for 20 years. So that's definitely a transition. But, the rest of it, I don't know, seemed like a football game to me.
I know you have a pretty big Rolodex to go through, but did you lean on anyone for advice last week, or you just kind of had to do it, figure it out on your own?
Honestly, I was so busy that I didn't really get an opportunity to catch up with a whole lot of people. But, as I said, I think I said this last week at one point, obviously my brother Anthony is somebody that I talk to a lot, and, he's made, a similar transition. So, he coached high school football for a long time. So he definitely is, he's very helpful always.
It looks like Davon has moved back to the tight end room.
Yes.
Was that after you took over, or was that prior to you taking over?
I guess we were flirting with it a little bit, and then, when I took over, we just had a conversation with him. Coach Herbs met with him and said, look, we think that this is really where your future is, and also that we could have a great role for you. Some of the things that we would hope to get to would require, just having more tight ends available to us that are ready to play. And I think his skill set, fits some things that we're able to do. And, he's a unique player because he can play wide receiver and he can play, in line and off the ball. So I think that he gives us a lot of options.
Quarterback depth, but I mean, the running back depth without Raheem, just from that standpoint, I know Isaiah is probably going to get a little bit more, but then Aaron Young, just your confidence in the running back room.
I think it's a great room. I think it's the best, most deepest room on our offense. So I think we've got, even if Raheem doesn't play, I think we still have 4 really, valuable Big Ten running backs. I know that a couple of those guys are young, but they are good players. And Aaron is a unique kid because he's very intelligent and he's very versatile. He's a dynamic kid, and then I think Kayron in the backfield can really do some really good things. So hopefully his role will increase.
I can ask about Kayron because I think he was early on. I think only one or 2 games early on. I guess you envision him not redshirting at this point.
Yeah, I don't know that it's ever been the plan to redshirt him. So I think it's always been the plan to evaluate it as we go. He's always given the indication that he wants to play, and physically he's pretty ready. So it's really just a matter of not overloading him with too much stuff.
Final question. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys.